What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chris. It's another amazing episode of Financipation. This channel is all about making money, saving money, building generational wealth, and financially emancipating yourself from generational poverty. On this channel, everybody, I give you a six-figure MBA level worth of investing and financial knowledge for free here on YouTube. And the things that people typically spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn in grad school, I give it to you for free here on Financipation. And as a person who has an MBA, I take pride in saying that, okay? Also, before I go any further, I want to give a shout out to Kiyosaki Solutions. They're one of my sponsors. If you need digital marketing, website development, someone to essentially edit your YouTube videos, they're the best in the business of meeting all your digital needs. And please hit that notification bell, okay? So that way you know when I drop new content. I recently got a question, everybody, from one of my subscribers, and they asked, why is it, Chris, that you never talk about Robert Kiyosaki, and why is it that I never mention his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Apparently, this person is a huge fan of Robert Kiyosaki, and they're a huge fan of the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I have very strong opinions about Robert Kiyosaki's financial advice, and I also have a lot of strong opinions about the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And in this podcast, I'm going to go over and discuss my honest opinions about Robert Kiyosaki, as well as his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, okay? So with that, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I disagree with Robert Kiyosaki on is that he pushes the narrative that school is dumb and that education isn't very important. Robert Kiyosaki is famous for saying the debunked statement that an A student works for a C student and that B students work for the government. One main theme in this bestseller, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, is that school isn't important and that a college education is no indicator of future wealth. And in his book, Robert Kiyosaki's biological father was an extremely educated man, but he was very poor, and his non-biological father, who didn't have a college degree, supposedly was very wealthy. While this sounds good on paper, nothing is further from the truth. Only 33% of Americans have a college degree, but nearly 90% of all the millionaires in America have a college degree. And while Robert Kiyosaki is pushing the BS narrative that school isn't important, the statistics clearly show that people with a college degree are 3 times more likely to be millionaires. Secondly, people who have advanced college degrees have vastly more money than people who only have a high school diploma. And in America, it is a lot easier to build generational wealth if you have a high salary. For example, studies show that people with a bachelor's degree make around $1.5 million more than people with only a high school diploma. And studies show that people with a master's degree make around $2.5 million more than people with only a high school diploma. And studies show that people with a PhD on average over a 40-year working career make anywhere from $3.5 to $4 million more than a person with only a high school diploma. So while Robert Kiyosaki is running around pushing this nonsensical narrative and this BS that education isn't important, the numbers clearly show something different. Secondly, for all my Black and Hispanic listeners, I very clearly am a minority. Studies show that Black and Hispanic men with master's degrees and PhDs are the only groups of minorities in America that get paid the same as white men for doing the exact same job. And studies also show that Black and Hispanic men with master's degrees on average have an unemployment number that is literally 3 times lower than the national average for Black and Hispanic men who don't have a college degree. Studies also show that Black and Hispanic men who obtain degrees in science, technology, engineering, math, healthcare, law, and finance have unemployment rates that are literally under 1.5% nationally. And lastly, studies show that the most lucrative entrepreneurial businesses for minorities to start in America in 2024 are in the science, technology, engineering, mathematics, healthcare, and law fields. Education, everybody, I don't care how you look at it, especially if you have an advanced degree, if you are Black or Hispanic or a minority, is the closest thing that America has to a true meritocracy. And a good education and a great work ethic are the closest things that we have in this country to creating a level playing field for minorities when it comes to competing with white men for job opportunities and for entrepreneurial startups and ventures as an entrepreneur and as a business owner. To say it bluntly, everybody, I'm gonna keep it real. If you have a master's degree, a PE license, you're a CPA, or you have a doctorate, people don't care what you look like or where you come from. They will hire you. And better yet, you can go out and even start your own practice or business. I therefore cringe when I see clowns like Robert Kiyosaki, Kanye West, Lil Wayne, and some of these dumb rappers out here pushing this nonsensical narrative and this false narrative that school isn't important, because for minorities and to all Americans, it's flat out not true. The next thing I disagree with Robert Kiyosaki on is in his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he constantly belittles people who work in corporate America, and he calls corporate America the rat race. Everybody, we've all heard the terms before, so I'm just gonna keep it real with you. The corporate plantation, the rat race, the corporate slave, the corporate hamster wheel, work for yourself, I'm my own boss. We've heard all this stuff before. As a professional with an engineering degree and an MBA and an entrepreneur and a person that has built builds billion-dollar buildings for the federal government and for private developers, it's always quite laughable to me when I meet a guy that makes, I don't know, $35,000, $40,000 a year in his business, talking junk to a lawyer, a doctor, or an engineer that makes over $350,000 a year working in corporate America. Usually when I meet broke Robert Kiyosaki disciples, I just let them talk and blather and go on and talk about how they're their own boss and how they're living like a king because they make $35,000 a year working in the job, and they're not a corporate slave. I just let them blather and blather and blather and talk. And what's really sad is that what ends up happening is typically, more often than not, years later, that same individual comes back to me and says, Chris, can you help me get a job? Chris, can you loan me money? For the record, everyone, 80% of America's millionaires contributed to their employer-sponsored 403B, their TSP, or the 401k match programs because it's free money. And what that means, everybody, is that if 80% of America's millionaires at some point worked in corporate America, they all took advantage of the 401k match. And if 80% of Americans that are millionaires today work in corporate America, then very clearly Robert Kiyosaki is wrong when he says the nonsense that you can't build wealth working for someone else. So Robert Kiyosaki is running around basically saying this narrative. Once again, 8 out of 10 of America's millionaires ignored his advice and they worked in corporate America at some point. So in no way, shape, form, or fashion am I belittling people, entrepreneurs who actually have their own business. Hey, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I'm a firm believer, and I said this multiple times on my podcast, that if you work in corporate America, you had better have a business on the side that you work anywhere from 10 to 15 hours a week. And the reason why is because you want to make sure that you always have a residual form of income. But everyone, when you factor in corporate America, when you factor in the 401k match, the healthcare benefits that you get, the company vehicles you could possibly get, the gas cards you can get, the employee sharing option programs, the stock options you can get, the paid for gym memberships, the professional organization sponsorships, and things of that nature. If you use corporate America correctly, everybody, it should literally be your number one investor for your entrepreneurial side businesses and for you building your real estate portfolio. And once again, everybody, if you jump ship every 3 to 5 years in corporate America, you are literally guaranteeing yourself roughly a 20% pay raise every 5 years. And so while you're in corporate, people, take advantage of all those opportunities that I talked about earlier. And you should be running a business on the side with a legal EIN number, employee identification number, attached to it. And if you do that, everybody, within a few years, you will literally be laughing at all the broke Robert Kiyosaki disciples that call your 6-figure corporate career a rat race. Next, the next thing I disagree with Robert Kiyosaki on is that he calls himself a financial guru, but the man is literally more than 1.2 billion with a B dollars in debt. To me, it's flat out embarrassing that Robert Kiyosaki is running around calling himself a financial guru, and when his lawyer and his private CPA are both on public record saying that he is over 1.2 billion with a B dollars in debt. And it's hypocritical for Robert Kiyosaki to call himself a financial genius when his business, Rich Global LLC, filed for bankruptcy in 2012, and it appears to also be in serious trouble based on an article that I read in December 2023. Everyone, I'm going to keep it real, okay? I don't take fitness advice from fat people. When I was single, I never took dating advice from guys I saw that never had girlfriends or women. And I don't take financial advice from guys whose businesses file for bankruptcy and who brag about being $1.2 billion with a B in debt. According to a 2023 article done by Fortune magazine, Robert Kiyosaki knows he's over $1 billion in debt, and he doesn't care because he says he knows someone is coming to bail him out. According to Robert Kiyosaki, his exact words is this: if I go bust, the bank goes bust, not my problem. If a poor white person who lived in the trailer parks said this garbage, or if a poor black person that lived in the projects said this kind of garbage and had this kind of rhetoric, we would all correctly call that individual what they are: a freeloader and a drain on our society. But Robert Kiyosaki and others just like him are running around saying and doing this exact same kind of thing. And it's amazing they can be unapologetic and still run around calling themselves financial gurus at all their seminars across America. People, it makes no sense. The next thing I vehemently disagree with Robert Kiyosaki on is that he says that people should invest all of their money into gold. People, I don't know how else to say this, so I'm just going to flat out say it, okay? Gold and precious metals are not a great long-term investment, period. There are better investments out here, everyone, than telling you to put 100% of your entire investment portfolio into precious metals. And any financial advisor or whoever is telling you to do that is a liar that does not understand the power of stocks or of compound interest. I'm going to actually do a separate podcast on this, but for this particular podcast, I'll just say that you should avoid Robert Kiyosaki's advice and do not put 100% of your investment portfolio into precious metals like gold or silver, like he advises you to do. Gold, historically, everyone, has only averaged around 5% over the last 100 years, which isn't bad, but there are better investments out there. For instance, my high interest online banking account that I use to park my emergency fund into pays me 5%, and sometimes more. What that means is that gold underperforms my high interest account. Secondly, while gold has only averaged about 5% over the last 100 years, the stock market and index funds have historically averaged around 11% over this exact same 100-year time period. That means, everyone, on average, you will make more than twice as much money and pay less in capital gains taxes and fees if you invest into index funds instead of gold. It should also be noted that if you have $1 million of gold just laying around your house, your apartment, your condo, you had better buy a safe and have a gun in literally every room of your house, because the second somebody finds that you got $1 million worth of gold laying around, they coming to get it. However, if you have $1 million invested into a passively managed low-cost index fund that tracks the stock market, it will grow significantly faster than that gold, and you don't have to worry about having to store it somewhere. Lastly, Robert Kiyosaki likes to reference the 1971 stock market crash as a reason that cash is trash, and why he invests 100% of all his money into gold and into precious metals, and that you should too. Well, apparently Robert Kiyosaki doesn't read much books, because if he did, he would see that people who invested their money into the stock market and index funds since 1971 have done, on average, 3 times better than people who put 100% of their money into gold. Once again, everybody, I am not saying that you should not invest into gold. I'm not saying you should not invest into silver, and I'm not saying you should not invest into precious metals, because you should. What I'm saying is that it is dumb to take Robert Kiyosaki's advice and invest 100% of your portfolio into gold. Gold, everybody, like all precious metals, is best when it's a part of a diversified portfolio that you're putting into your Roth IRAs, your 401ks, your brokerage accounts, and things of that nature. And for this reason, I literally cringe when I hear self-professed financial gurus like Robert Kiyosaki tell his followers that they should put 100% of all their money and all of their retirement accounts into precious metals, as it's dumb and it makes literally no mathematical sense, and it doesn't abide to the laws of compounding interest. Please hit that notification bell, everybody, so you know when I drop new content. Please hit that like button, please comment, please share, please subscribe. It helps the algorithm, and I thoroughly enjoy giving you guys free content. The next issue I have with Robert Kiyosaki is that his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, provides literally no tangible knowledge about investing, real estate, finance, or entrepreneurship. And it does not teach you anything on how to actually build generational wealth. As I alluded to earlier, everybody, I found the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad to be psychobabble BS that gave literally no meaningful advice on investing, entrepreneurship, real estate, or how to actually financially emancipate yourself from poverty. I literally did not learn anything in that book when I read it at 13 years old about how to build generational wealth. Sure, the book sounds good and it's very entertaining. It's a nice fable, but it literally did not teach me anything about how to actually build wealth. As an 8th grader, I realized that book didn't teach me anything about investing, about real estate, about stocks, about index funds, about ETFs, or about mutual funds. And when I read books, however, like How to Win Friends and Influence People, they taught me how to get anyone from anywhere to like me. When I read books like Scholarships, The Golden Road to Free Money, it taught me how to go to college for free. When I read books like, The Millionaire Next Door, it taught me that rich people essentially drive, on average, 7-year-old cars, they wear jeans from Walmart, they start small businesses, and they work in corporate America. The book Rich Dad, Poor Dad was a bunch of fluff that sounded nice, but like all sugar highs, you crashed as soon as you came off the rush. I have literally never met anyone that got rich or wealthy doing the things that Robert Kiyosaki prescribed in his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because it's aspirational garbage, for lack of a better word, that doesn't work in the real world. I have, however, met lots of people who got wealthy and became millionaires by reading books like Money Masters the Game by Tony Robbins or Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And that to me is a huge problem I have with Robert Kiyosaki, because his self-professed finance book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, doesn't teach you anything about finance or wealth. Once again, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a well-written fable. It's an entertaining book, but it doesn't teach you anything about any of the concepts that are actually going to make you money. Next, the next issue that Robert Kiyosaki is that his seminars and his paid-for sessions don't actually help you make money, and they don't teach you anything meaningful anyway about building wealth. I went to a Robert Kiyosaki seminar one time in my early 20s when I was in Philly. And in that seminar, Robert Kiyosaki spent an entire hour bragging about buying homes from stupid people who bought homes that they couldn't afford. Robert Kiyosaki then spent the next hour telling everyone in this room in Philadelphia that we should all get into nothing down real estate and buy homes that we can't afford. People, think about that for a minute. Robert Kiyosaki calls people dumb for buying houses that they can't afford. He then tells an entire audience of people to buy homes that they can't afford because it makes it easy for real estate tycoons like him to swoop in and buy foreclosed properties for sale. Everybody, based off of that seminar, I walked away knowing a couple of things. One thing was this: Robert Kiyosaki is literally preying on his followers and the dim-witted souls who take his terrible financial advice. Something else I found also ridiculous was the pricing of Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad advice seminars. During the seminar that I went to in Philly, the first class was free. I didn't pay one dime to go there, and I'm glad I didn't because I didn't learn anything. During the second seminar, however, he basically told everybody that particular seminar, at the end of the first seminar, he told everybody the second seminar will cost $495. I personally, like I said earlier, did not attend the second course, but I had friends who did. And according to them, the second course was useless, as only about 10% of it was actually educational. And the other 90% of that course was them telling you how much you needed to invest and basically pay for the third course. What blew my mind was the third course that Robert Kiyosaki was offering cost $45,000. For the record, as a professional who has an MBA, I do charge a modest sum for my financial one-on-ones. If you basically book a financial one-on-one session with me, I'm going to basically sit down and ask you what exactly you're looking for, and I'm going to build a certain plan for you, and I'm going to teach you how to build generational wealth. But how in the world can you justify charging a person $45,000 for a personal finance course when this self-professed financial guru, Robert Kiyosaki, has filed for bankruptcy in the past and is $1.2 billion in debt? Everybody, Robert Kiyosaki has sold a lot of books, and he's a good author. He's a good writer, rather, I'd say. But he has some serious credibility issues on the personal finance subject that he claims to be an expert on. And in my opinion, you're a lot better off investing that $45,000 into a low-cost ETF, a low-cost index fund, or into a real estate investment trust, and not wasting your money on a $45,000 course when you can easily go on YouTube and find something with probably equivalent value that's a 5 or 10 minute video for free. In closing, everyone, I made my thoughts, I think, pretty clear on Robert Kiyosaki as a finance guy and his book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. In my opinion, everybody, with the advent of YouTube, the internet, audio files, and traditional schooling, there is no reason why a person today should be financially illiterate, period. If you don't know where to go to get educated on financial concepts, I have an MBA, and I'm literally teaching you for free on Financipation, as I have over 100 videos that will significantly improve your financial literacy if you take the time and listen to them. In my videos, I talk about everything from index fund investing to Roth IRA conversions, to going to college for free, to hiring your children as employees, to setting up trust, the importance of real estate, the importance of wills. I talk about all this stuff, and I teach you how to build generational wealth. And don't take financial advice from guys like Robert Kiyosaki, who brag about being $1 billion in debt and who derisively say they know the federal government is going to come bail them out if they have to file for bankruptcy. This channel, everybody, in closing, is all about making money. It's all about saving money. It's all about building generational wealth, and it's all about financially emancipating yourself from poverty. You can book a one-on-one session with me at any point. I'm not giving you financial advice in this channel. You must make your own responsible decisions based on the thorough independent research that you do and conduct your own financial research, okay? Thanks for listening, everybody. Additionally, you can check out my website at www.therealfinancipation.com, Instagram, _Financipation. My Spotify is Financipation, just like it's spelled back in that sign. My TikTok is Financipation, and my Facebook page is also called Financipation. And check out my financial blog as well, where I go into a lot more detail about Roth IRA conversions, 401ks, 401k matches, HSAs, and things of that nature. And also, everybody, check out my digital, my e-products below as well, as I have financial e-products that will be coming out shortly. Please like, please comment, please share, please subscribe. It helps the algorithm. I thoroughly enjoy giving you guys free content. It's your boy, Chris. I'm out. Peace. Peace.